AIM-listed Orphan is a specialist pharmaceutical services company and a world leader in the testing of vaccines and antivirals using human challenge studies. It has Europe's only 24-bedroom quarantine clinic with on-site virology labs in Queen Mary's Hospital here in London. It's recently signed a UK government contract valued at up to £40 million to develop a funded COVID-19 challenge study. The chief executive and founder is Cathal Friel. He joins us now on the line from London, and it's very good to talk to you again, Cathal. Thanks indeed for your time. We have spoken before about Orphan, but I think it's good to get an update on what you're doing at the moment, because there's a lot going on. Your market cap has risen substantially since we last spoke. It's now about £165 million. You're profitable. You've got cash on the balance sheet. What's going on?
Yeah, Jeremy, look, thank you for having me on. And I think the last time you and I spoke was in February this year, and we've probably more cash in the bank now than our market cap was 6 months ago. We're very proud, and most of that cash has been self-generated, as we haven't been doing endless fundraising. And this cash is stacking up because we're profitable, and we made it clear to the market in Q4 we were profitable and generating cash. But yeah, we've got 21.5 million at the end of last month, and it looks like we have 22 or 23 million at the end of this month. So that's the beauty about, I would call at the moment, the shakeout that's going on in AIM. Like we all had a COVID pop bubble. You could put a stick on AIM this summer, say it was life science, and it would have got a COVID pop. However, we believe the shakeout, the men from the boys, is happening. And we're locally, we class ourselves as one of the men, in that we have a very profitable business. We've got real revenues, and we've a long runway ahead. We have a clinic now booked out 18 months in advance.
Yeah, what is it about the business model you've got that gives you the idea that it's got legs? Because we're talking here about the COVID-driven business that you've been able to achieve. What are you going to take from what you've learned and what you set up here into a post-COVID world that's going to give you a continuation of the sort of profits and cash buildup that you're seeing so far?
Yeah, Jeremy, look, a very good question is that why is there a shakeout in AIM this last 2 weeks? Why some stocks down 30, 40, 50% and some stocks are flat? We're kind of flat. We expect to start going up. The shakeout is the world didn't expect Pfizer, BioNTech, Oxford, and Moderna to read out so positively. We would have thought 50%, and half would fail, after 90+%, and all three have succeeded. So this shakeout is that people think, wow, the cavalry, to quote our Prime Minister Boris, the cavalry are coming over the hill. That's the vaccines. And there's a shakeout. There's so many people say, well, do we need all this COVID stuff now? I would say, yes, we do. But what's happening is anybody in the testing business, i.e. doing PCR testing, swab testing, that's going to be trickier. We have that capability. We've done some work on it, but we've focused our energies on building out the clinical trial side. And what is happening at the moment, we can see visibility for years to come. For 30 years, there was no money spent in vaccines or antibiotics or antivirals, and we have a pandemic. There's more money spent in 6 months than has been the previous 30 years on vaccines.
And you anticipate that continuing? I mean, we're hearing a lot as well about what we don't know about COVID. And one of the things no one is really sure about is whether or not we're going to get mutations pop up and whether we're going to get the need for a changing environment in terms of what we're vaccinated against. Do you see that as a real opportunity for you, or are you moving on from coronavirus into other areas where vaccines are critical?
Well, Jeremy, I would hate to say mutations would be an opportunity. The very worst mutation makes us all uncomfortable. Look, yeah. What I can say, the really interesting thing about COVID, there is no mutations of any symptoms. There's 7 coronaviruses. The first one was called OC43, named in 1943, 2298E in 98, SARS, MARS, and our other friends are now COVID. And the other 6 have been around for decades. And one thing we know about them, OC43 was originally over 100 years ago. They don't mutate, they don't change, they're very predictable. So that's where we're very lucky. So they may modify slightly. So the current vaccines will knock them out. The beauty about Pfizer, BioNTech, Oxford, it's going to take out COVID. However, the however is it will only last for a year. 6 to 12 months is the immunity that this first generation, we believe, that's only a personal view. There's going to be a second generation. There's going to be better COVID, but from next summer, it'll be take your annual flu shot. And the same cohort, the sick, the elderly, the old, the nurses and doctors, when you're taking your flu jab, take your COVID jab. So yes, by next summer, the world will become back to normal, but there's going to be need second and third generation. That'll give us 3 years, 5 years, and then maybe 10 years immunity.
Now, as I said in the introduction, you've got this 24-bedroom quarantine clinic here in London at Queen Mary's Hospital. My understanding is it's full for the very first time. Is that right?
Yeah, the problem, we acquired Venn and hVivo, put them together under Open Orphan, took out overheads, but we were very good at putting deals together and driving the business and making it profitable. So look, we've had the COVID bubble, we're testing COVID vaccines, but more importantly, we're testing other vaccines, and in particular influenza. We signed our first influenza study 2 weeks ago. We'll be testing malarial vaccines, antibacterial vaccines, and pneumococcal vaccines. So we see within hVivo, Open Orphan, a runway for 10 years. We're the world leader in testing vaccines and antivirals. The world will spend and is spending more money in vaccines than it ever spent before, so as to avoid the next pandemic. We're also geared up to do antibacterial. So that's the next. So the beauty about what's happened to this, the world has proven, okay, it forgot to spend on vaccines. We've had 20 years of oncology spending, 10 years of billions on gene therapy, and nothing in vaccines. But really, from our perspective, we're quite excited. We can see a clear runway as a world leader in the testing antivirals. That's going to be a really great business. Purely, I would say, vast majority of our business will have nothing to do with COVID. It'll be influenza, pneumococcal, malarial infections, all those types of things that people talked and worried about before. But now the governments will say, we need to fix all of these. So we're in a lovely position to capitalize upon those opportunities.
So where are you going to go then with these quarantine beds? Is it your business model now to look at expanding this area and possibly even go to other hospitals, but certainly expanding the footprint to 24 quarantine bedrooms?
Absolutely, Jeremy. Look, where we are, we believe we're going into a decade of exponential vaccine development. So we have our current facility booked out 18 months in advance. The government has kindly provided access to the all free. They've got 19 beds, so we go from 24 plus 19. And we've guided the market recently in the coming short term. You'll see an announcement. We'll have access to a third facility. We've got so much work. And this is work, non-COVID, other vaccine work. And the other really important area we're going forward, we're now in the wearable business. We've the world's largest database of infectious disease progression. We've the largest wearable, the watches, approaching us, give us the data, and the owner of the watches will tell you what's wrong with you. So we've got data at the moment to tell you, have you influenza, have you the common cold, have you RSV, or have you COVID? We marry that data with the wearables. So again, that's another huge area for us going forward. And so we're at pains to say we've been capitalizing with a lot of COVID work, but we've an even bigger amount of non-COVID work going forward.
Let me just bring a share price up. You're more than familiar, obviously, with what's been happening. And you referenced this, of course, earlier in the interview when we spoke back in earlier this year when shares were around about 5 pence. Here we are now at 24 pence. This is the London listed stock of Open Orphan. And you can see this big rise that we've seen recently. We're off the recent highs. But with that 22 million in the bank, what's your plan now to reward shareholders? Clearly, shareholders that have been in the stock a while have had a wonderful ride on the upside. And I know that you're a shareholder as well in the business. Clearly, it's in the interests of you to explain where the company's going and what you're going to use the cash for, how you see the share price developing, and what shareholder returns are in the bag, in the offing that you see and the board can offer.
Well, Jeremy, the great part about generating cash and building up lots of cash gives us lots of options. The first thing, we won't be doing any fundraising. We've said the next time we'll be tapping our shareholders is handing something back. That'll either be cash or it could be a dividend species. We've got some non-core assets. We've got Immutex, with Prep Pharma. They're all work in progress. So where we are, we've only gone cash flow positive the last month or two. It's a great place to be. We can see the cash delivery building up every month. So going forward, we're very optimistic. We've a lot done, but we've a lot more we'll do in the year ahead. We're in a really sweet spot of where there's going to be exponential money spent on developing vaccines, antivirals, antibacterials. So we're provided that. What we're not going to do, we're not going to blow the cash on acquisitions. We're going to carefully manage it. And yes, absolutely, the obvious question, there will be a dividend at some stage in the year ahead. And we're making it clear there is no fundraisings, and it gives us great blue water between the men and the boys on the COVID bubble. We've transitioned that. When we spoke earlier in the year at 5p, yes, we were a little struggling company. I would say when we spoke in February, we had 2 or 3 million in the bank. It's nice to be heading towards 30 million cash in the bank.
Just one final question. That is, where do we go now? You're a businessman. Obviously, you're always looking at the best angle to take. And of course, as a public listed company, you are obliged to act in shareholders' best interests. What is the best interest for shareholders at the moment? Are you going to be taken over? This sounds like a business that, as you say, is running in the sweet spot. It's got wonderful opportunities. You've built it in such a way that at the moment it's still relatively small at 160 million. Are you going to be taken over, or are you going to keep it independent? You're going to keep it running, keep it big?
Jeremy, the beauty of that gives us lots of options. When we put the company together 12, 18 months ago, we said we were going to look for a fast exit. When we got the market cap to 50, we'd sell for 70. And then we got the market cap to 100. Now with the market cap 150, our belief is there's no reason why we can't get to 200 million, 250 million, 300 million. We're dealing with the monsters. Our customers are Pfizer's, J&J, Boehringer in Germany. We deal with the largest pharma companies in the world. So we're still tiny. We've got large competitors, such as the big CROs, again, tens of billions of market cap. So the important part from our perspective is that I would be the single largest shareholder. I'm tied up for 3 years, 18 months done, and I'm absolutely in no rush to sell any shares. But we are very conscious. I've been around quite a number of AIM companies. This is my third public one. My last one was Amrit Pharma. People joked when I said you could get it to 150 million revenues. Amrit did 150 million last year. It's now got a $500 million EV. That's a 250 million market cap, 250 above. So I think where we are, we're going to have wonderful options in the springtime. Do we continue growing it? Do we get approached to be taken out? Do we sell part of it? So it's wonderful of options. And that's the benefit of having come through the COVID bubble intact with options. And I think that's where a lot of our friends still working their way through that bubble. They're still trying to get there, but we've broken through the COVID bubble, and we've arrived, and we've options.
I guess you've really probably answered some of these the one last question I've got, and that is milestones as we go into 2021. You've sort of laid out where you're going. Anything you're looking at specifically that 2021 could be noted for Open Orphan?
I think we're going to continue on the journey of being the world's leader in testing antivirals and antibacterials and vaccine. That's a really great space. So we're not going to, I think the most important thing, we're not going to frighten the market. I've got a little bit of flack saying internally, I try and set a target. Can we grow the share price about 50% every 6 months? We've done that successfully for 18 months. Can we continue to do it? I think absolutely. If we keep doing that and keep liquidity, the reason I like engaging with yourself and other outlets is to generate liquidity. So if people are shareholders, if they want to back some cash, we encourage them. If we keep liquidity, and then we allow people to trade in and trade out. So we're very clear this is not a Hotel California stock. I bought some shares a few weeks ago on another AIM stock, and I realized I can't sell them. There's no liquidity. We will keep decent liquidity. Yeah. We're not Hotel California. We're a different stock, but we're very focused on shareholder returns. And we've now got options in the year ahead. We've got some fantastic staff who are really driving the company. I'm here in Whitechapel, East London, every Monday to Friday. And yeah, I'm really excited. I think we just, first in my life, we couldn't be in a better place. But we're not going to lose the plot. We're not going to fall in love with the company. We're not going to go and blow the cash. That cash, we believe we're shepherds of we're custodians, and that cash belongs to our shareholders, and those assets belong to our shareholders.
Good to hear it. Okay, look, Cathal, it's been a pleasure. Thanks indeed for joining us. We look forward to 2021 with you. We'll look so we can catch up with you again in the early part of next year. In the meantime, stay safe and have a good final month of the year. Cathal, thanks.
Jeremy, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much, and lovely talking.
That's Cathal Friel. He is the Chief Executive of Open Orphan. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter @IGTV and subscribe to our YouTube channel.